Mentioned Jerry Seinfeld, who you've had this, lifelong friendship with at this point. Can you tell the story of how you met him for the first time and sort of what your impressions were of him as a comedian?
When we first met, we met at a club in New York City called Catch a Rising Star. Catch a Rising Star on First Avenue. And I was a character. Everybody was looking at me strangely so because I was a reverend in a big robe and a yellow page. You're too young to know what a yellow page telephone book is, but
I
that
do
was my,
know, I do know, I do know.
you do
It's that
know?
thing that you sit on to make you higher in the seat, right?
That's it. And young kids don't know. They used to put everybody's name in the book.
Yeah.
But that was my Bible, the good book of Bell. Whatever you need, look it up in the book. Look it up in the book. So I was there in the row, but he was looking at me strangely. So, and I'm looking at him going, that's the ugliest kid I ever seen in my life. His glasses were so thick. His glasses were so thick. When you read the map, he could see people waving. That's how thick his glasses were. And but somehow, some way we connected. We talked about this yesterday. We talk about it all the time. It was such a blessing. It's the greatest thing to find a friend like that and turn out, to be roommates for 13 years and best man at the wedding. And I always throw the joke in, I'm the father of his kids. But to be now, after 48 years and still talking every day, going to breakfast every day and writing jokes every day. That's all we do, talk funny. We go to breakfast and talk funny and work on jokes. And the greatest thing, and now I'm thinking, out of all the people, the richest man in comedy is my best friend. And not a lot of people can say that. How about that?
Yeah. Were you ever competitive with each other in those early days?
We're competitive right now. He makes more money than I do, but we're competitive. We still have fun, and we've always been helping each other. We're two different personalities, as you can see. I'm more higher energy than he.
Yeah.
He's low keyed, and we shouldn't be on the same show because he can't follow me.
Yeah. But you still make each other laugh?
Without a doubt, every day, all the time. That's all we do. Even coffee, people saying stupid stuff. I'll tell him. He says that's the funniest thing. He said yesterday the funniest thing he ever heard was every day we hear the funniest thing we ever heard. But he wanted me to go to a new restaurant in New York City called 4 Charles Street. He says, we're gonna go, and this is a place you can't get into. I said, oh, really? I said, but how about the people in there? How'd they get in? So we get to, we get to the restaurant, and I told her, how y'all get in there? Y'all know somebody? How y'all get in there? He thinks I'm crazy, We did a comedian in the car is getting coffee and went to a restaurant in Las Vegas, the Pepper Mill, and he asked me a stupid question. You think all these people are local or where they from? And I shouted out as loud as I could, hey, where's everybody from? And they just, Texas, Tennessee, Chicago, just come in. He was so embarrassed, but
Yeah.
so we
I
have
like
a
that.
good
You're always
relationship.
embarrassing him.
Yeah, right.
He did put you in an episode of Seinfeld, I remember, as a doctor, right? How did
Yes.
that happen?
Well, when his first son was born, that's a great question. His first son was born. They had is it called brisk? A
A
brisk?
bris, a
A
bris.
brisk, okay. So for some reason, he asked me to stand with him. The granddad was there, supposed to be the granddad. But I stood while the rabbi did his little
Hmm.
job of circumcision,
Yeah.
and Jerry held one leg and I held one leg. And they got the baby drunk. They give us some baby some wine, put it on a
Yeah.
piece of
Hmm.
cotton, and the baby gets drunk. And the rabbi, I don't know where it did his little zip zip, and the baby started crying like hell.
Yeah.
And I said, that baby, and to this day, when I walk into that house, that little boy looks at me and he says, I know you from somewhere. And he needed that look from the doctor at that time. And so that's where that came from. He needs, but we always kept business and friendship separate
Yeah.
because we had a great friend named Gary Shanling, and his best friend was Lewis Smith. And Lewis Smith was on his show and something didn't work, and Lewis got
Mm.
fired. And Lewis was so pissed. He said, you're my best friend. Why didn't you tell me I wasn't doing something right or what I should have done? And they broke up. They were never friends. And we went, holy cow, they've been friends for all these years. We can't do that. Let's just keep, and to this day, we try to keep business and friendship separate.
So did you sort of resist going on Seinfeld until, because it was almost at the end of the show, right? That you went on?
Yes, it was, I think the season before the end of the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he said, but you got to come do this because he needed that look as being that doctor in the operating room.
That was
What the
the
hell?
yeah, that was a great one. You joked, I saw somewhere, that you were the real George, the real George Costanza, because you were best friends. Did he ever borrow storylines from your life or from your relationship,
We got
Jerry?
some like, yeah, we got some stories like the telephone. My joke is, what the hell are you calling my house for when a telemarketer calls? Could you
Yeah.
give me your personal line? Could you give me your number?
Yeah, that came from you.
Yeah, that came from me. The shirt, something about going to the Salvation Army, getting the shirt redone and wearing it again. I didn't watch all the episodes, but every now and then he called me for a few little bits, and
Hmm.
because we're together every day. So do that, do this, do that. And yeah, so some of those lines, a few, not a lot, but a few.
You were was I know you spent a lot of time working at the Comedy Store in the early days. Was Can you, what sort of, when you think about that time in your life, what comes to mind, and what do you think about, because I know it was quite a scene when you were there.
When I first got to the Comedy Store in 1977, uh, he and I, my best friend and I, had just driven across country. I had only been in comedy for 6 months. I was vice president of uh, outdoor advertising in New York City, San Francisco, the top 10 markets in America. I was selling billboards and
Wow.
spectaculars and all the 5,000 buses in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, 10 top markets in the world.
Yeah. How do you go from
Man,
that to doing stand-up comedy?
same thing, sales.
Yeah.
No
Same
matter what you
skills.
do, it's marketing, skills, sales, laughter, smile. Yeah, yeah, that's what I teach everybody to everybody's in sales. However, I have to teach the young kids in college that marketing is just another name for bullshit. So that's why I knew uh, Trump is a bullshitter because
Mm.
that's what I do. I'm
You
a
saw it, you
bull.
said, "Hey, that's my
Hey,
thing."
all bullshitters know each other. Now, you know what? We don't know each other, but we know each other. You can see the bullshit coming around the corner. That's what we do. So doing that and uh, getting to the Comedy Store, we drove out. I'm only in the business 6 months, and I go on stage, and every night I get there, and there's Paul Mooney, there's David Letterman, Jay Leno, Elaine Boozler, Robin Williams comes in a little later from San Francisco, and Richard Pryor, all of these great names, Sam Kinison, and we're all competing. We didn't know at the time. That's when the comedy boom had just started. We go on stage every night. Richard Pryor didn't matter. We could just go up and follow them. Who wants to follow Robin Williams? Nobody. Didn't bother me. I just had to get on the stage.
Yeah,
But when
you would say you would take the time. Yeah.
yeah. And then we had the lady that owned the comedy store. Her name was Mitzi Shore. They had already
Hmm.
told me that, I don't know, she's a little off. And I said, I'm going to go on audition. I went on stage and I killed. And I walked off stage, you always go to the owner and go, hi, I'm George Wallace. How did I do? Well, you're not right for my room. You can't work this room. I have worked everywhere in life. I'm going like, oh
Wow.
my God. I was disappointed. I was disturbed. But they told me she was a little off, right? So the next day when you call in for the spots, I went on Monday, I called in on Tuesday. I got 6 spots. I said, oh yeah, she's a little off. And I've been working there ever since. I never understood that, but maybe she mistook me for somebody else. And
Yeah.
uh, but I worked there, and I worked every club there is, and working at the Comedy Store. I'm on stage one night, and ABC comes to me and said, "Would you consider writing a Red Fox show?" I said, "I don't know anything about writing a TV show, anything like that. I'm just learning this stuff myself." And I didn't even know who I was at that time. And they said, well, we think you can do it. I said, I'm serious, you guys. I don't know first thing about writing a TV show. So we've been watching you for 3 weeks. We think you can. I said, I don't think. Then they told me it was $2,500 a week back in '77. I said, I'm gonna come up with something. We
Yeah,
can
I
come
think
up
I could
with
do it. Yeah.
something. And so, and I was fortunate enough fortunate enough at that time to write for Red Fox. Not the
Yeah.
Sanford and Son, but there
Yeah.
was a TV show after the Red
Hmm.
Fox Variety Hour. And I was able
What
to
was he
work with
like to work
him.
with?
Didn't see him much. Television
Yeah.
is funny. We wrote the TV show in the Valley. We taped on Thursdays and Fridays in Hollywood at CBS, and the show aired on ABC. I was going, what the hell is going on here?
And
But
he
that
was
show
kind of doing
didn't.
his own thing.
Oh, he would come in. He would be late every week. He was heavily into drugs at the time,
Yeah.
heavily into drugs. But through that and writing, I got to meet Muhammad Ali for the first time, and we became friends since then.
Wow.
And so it was really cool writing the show and knowing him and working with Red Fox. Yeah, to a man that's how I started comedy. Red Fox, Jackie Mumps Mabley, Judge Big Meat Markham, Sammy Davis Jr., uh, Skillet and Leroy, a lot of people. And this was just awesome to work for Red Fox.
Yeah. I mean, you've been doing this now for almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years and still
What
learning.
what do you feel like what's changed the most about comedy in 50 years?
It would probably the most, it's got to be social media. When I
Hmm.
started, you have to get on the Tonight Show. You have to do all of the TV shows you could do. And we had only 3 networks at the time, ABC, NBC, and CBS. But what's so great now, these young kids in the last 20 years, social media is so good. A lot of the older comedians don't like how they became famous just off the internet. But I
Hmm.
think it's great that you can build your own market. And when you think about this, when you watch the Tonight Show, maybe 3 million people watch you. That was big back in the day. But
Yeah.
some of these young kids, they got 100 million people following. They got 80 million people
Yeah.
following them. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I'm
Yeah.
older. I don't really know how to do the internet like you young guys, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm having fun with
Yeah.
it,
You
and
have
I'm
fun on it.
learning. Yeah, I'm
You've been on
having fun
Twitter
on.
for a long time.
Yeah, and that's first of all, I didn't want to do it because I'm not going to give away these jokes for free. Then I was thinking, but wait a minute, some of these people may not ever come to Las Vegas. I can create a new market by just having them have a taste of who George Wallace is. And at the time, I had to do jokes within 140 characters,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Now you can do whatever you want, but
now
yeah.
you can do what at the time I had
Thanks
to
to
do
your
whatever.
friend Elon Musk.
Elon Musk,
Uh,
he should go to jail just for creating that Cybertruck. They should lock his ass up for that. That is the
that's
ugliest
his
truck
worst crime.
right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
One thing that I think you did that exposed you to a new audience recently that I really enjoyed was your appearance on John Mulaney's show in LA, the Everybody's in LA show with John Mulaney.
You saw that?
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic, and you were very funny on it. Did you have any idea what you were getting yourself into that night?
No, I didn't, but I knew I had John Mulaney, and we had talked a few times. He said, "No, you got to come do this." Uh, well, I did a character on the show, and then when he did the Everybody Loves LA, I went on there as me. That's how he knew me. We had worked together. He said, "You got to come do the show." And when I did the show, I just felt comfortable doing it and writing it before I went out there. Didn't know exactly what I'm going to do. So let's give him a cake.
Yeah, the cake was a key part of it.
Let's give him a cake. Yeah, and because since this is your last time on this little bullshit show, whatever you call it, let me give you a little. I don't remember what I did. You know, you do these things, you
Yeah,
forget about it. But it was
yeah,
so awesome to do that, and I felt so comfortable. And I was sitting next to I forgot her name already. She had
yeah.
already
You were between Hannah Gadsby and Nikki Glazer, I think.
and Nikki Glazer, and she had just done that Tom Brady roast.
Yeah,
I was so happy to be sitting next to her between them. It was really funny. I really enjoyed that. That was a new
yeah,
market, also brand new market. Yeah.
yeah. It was. Yeah, I love that. Um, so George, what we do now on the show is a segment called the first laugh. So I'm going to ask you some questions about firsts.
Oh my God.
So going all the way back, do you remember the first piece of comedy that made you laugh really hard as a kid growing up?
Well, you know, I wanted to be a comedian since 6 years old, and I would tell the jokes over here, all of the jokes on TV, on the Tonight Show over here. Red Skelton, another reason why I'm in the business. Red Skelton, uh, I would take their jokes back to school, and the kids would laugh, and they would be happy. Everybody would be happy. So that was my job, make everybody happy, and they loved you no matter what you did. I did a joke once in school because I was not the class clown, but I was the class instigator. I did a joke, and we went to school. We used to pass notes around. I don't think they do today. I guess you guys just do it by phone, but back in the
Yeah.
day, we passed a note around the room, and the note was, "If you have holes in your drawers, if you have holes in your underwear, smile." And I'm sitting on the left side. I'm sitting on the left side of the room. This note goes all the way over 35 kids in the room to the front of the room on the right side of the room. And Miss Randall, school teacher, says, "What is that? Give me that. Bring that note up here." And they took the note to her and she read it. She says, "George Wallace."
She knew it was you.
She knew it was me from there. And I just said, I said, "Miss Randall." She says, "Get up here." And I had fun with all of the teachers. And I used to tell them jokes and they would make me stay after school and tell jokes. And so that's one of the first jokes I did. And one of the first jokes I wrote was not funny at all. I did a joke. I said, we were so poor, for fun, we would make the dog and the cats make love together. And one day, one day the cat, another, the joke was they had sex. And when the baby was born, nobody knew what it was. So we took the D from dog and the C from cat. And everybody said, "What's that?" And the D from cat. Everybody, "What's that? What's that?" I don't know what it was, how I did the joke. "What's that?" I took the D from dog and the C and D from cat. Everybody, "What's that?" Didn't work then
Didn't
either.
work then. Yeah,
No,
no.
no. But that's okay. That's why I learned how to do jokes. That's why I love Johnny Carson. He was doing the jokes that didn't work. He go, "All right, dog, that and
Yeah.
that and
He showed you how
I
it's done. Yeah.
and I do that today when I go up with my yellow pad. Joke didn't work. Needs work. Joke worked real good. Needs work. Joke funny. Audience sucks. They love it. When you're trying out jokes like that, I just love it. So
So
that
that
was
that
one
was
of
a
the first.
that was a joke that didn't work. What was the first joke that did work that you felt like really connected and did really well?
It was probably my name at the time, George Wallace. A lot of people get names stuck with names they don't like George Wallace, Mr. Green Jeans. And at the time, there was knocking begging. Now, don't come begging at my. I don't know what the joke was. It's so long ago, but the jokes back in the day. Oh, I don't know. I
It
wish I
wasn't
could.
about the other George Wallace.
It was about the other George Wallace,
Yeah.
and it was the Tonight Show too. It's like, go turn your Lula May, get in there. Country people down in Alabama.
Yeah.
George Wallace. No, Johnny Carson. No, don't change it. Tell it. It's
Yeah.
in color. Yeah, yeah.
I did. I watched your Carson debut where he introduces you and says, "Now you're going to be confused. This is not the George Wallace from Alabama."
Yeah, right. So then I walk out there, and when you stand behind that curtain, man, everything just I don't know what to do. I don't know. Everything leaves your head
Yeah.
empty. And when you hit that spot, it comes out. And I was improvising on my first show. How's
Really?
everybody doing? Yeah, how's everybody doing? You're not supposed to do that on the, come on, do your jokes. And I think
You
the next,
felt you must have felt confident enough to do that.
I was putting my hands in my pocket and going, you saw what I was doing. That was my first time. I felt comfortable doing it the first time. And I did it 3 more times with him. And then I did it a lot with Jay Leno and Gary Shandling and Joan Rivers. So.
Did you ever get invited over to the couch with Carson? I know that's a big thing of who gets invited to the couch and who doesn't.
I never got invited over to the couch, but I found out something about 10 years later. There was a manager named Bud Robinson, and he was Doc Severson's manager. And he told us a story about, I don't know about Johnny's, he's not totally a good man about, people of color, he didn't get along with them that much. As you notice, Red Fox with Sanford and Son studio next door never hosted the Tonight Show. Red Fox never hosted the Tonight
Never
Show.
got like to guest host or anything.
Yeah. So Shirley Hemphill, her show was called Shirley Hemphill. It'll come to us later. But her show was #1, and I went with her to do the Tonight Show. She got bumped, and she said, "Fuck Johnny Carson," as loud as she could. I thought she could hear it. And she walked out. She said, "I'll never do this fucking show again." Shirley Hemphill. Oh my God. What's Happening was the name of the show.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
Happening? And the people that did do the show, they were the end people already. Bill Cosby, Sammy Davis Jr., Flip Wilson was with NBC, Eddie Murphy with NBC, of course, Richard Pryor. There's probably a few more I didn't call, of course, Bill Cosby, etc. But his favorite singer was a guy named Joe Williams. Never brought him to the couch.
Mm.
And the last show that Joe Williams did, Johnny was closing. This has been my favorite singer, and he finished singing a song, and he called Joe over to the couch. Joe tripped and fell going to the couch. Never made it to say a word. On the
Then
couch.
he had to be taken off.
Well, it was time was up, so he never got to say a word. Okay, thank you. So they said, he told me Johnny didn't think he had anything in common with people. Yeah. So, but that was a disappointment.
Did that bother you at the time that other people were getting invited to the couch and you weren't?
When I found out it did, of course it did, because when you're doing the show and you get 19 applause, that warrants you to say hello at least,
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a good set, blah, blah, thank you so much. But in any case, when I did that show, that first show you saw, that was on a Thursday night. The next show, I was in front of 17,000 people, opening for Natalie Cole.
Wow.
So
that's how much it changed your career.
Oh my goodness. What an impact that Tonight Show was. You did the Tonight Show, you were somebody, no matter what.
That just doesn't exist anymore, that kind of overnight thing.
No, you can do the Tonight Show tonight. And these young kids got their own audience. They got more people watching them than the NBC.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a new day. That's been the biggest change I see. As far as writing jokes, it's still the same. We're still having fun, taking issues and politically wise, but religious. So we're still just writing new jokes and having fun. Also, the young kids can express themselves more. When Def Jam came along, they can express themselves with their language and who they are, what they want to be.